What's up, y'all? Let's dive headfirst into today's stories. Context: I've, 20F, been bullied all my life and have been in recovery for a multitude of things for the past year or so. I go to university in the same city I grew up in, so there's a high chance of me coming across people went to previous schools or who hurt/bullied me. I was well known for being bad-tempered and easy to wind up when I was younger. What happened? I was in the pharmacy waiting to pick up my prescription when someone shouted something at me. I pretended to not hear them and they shouted again. They ended up getting frustrated and tugging on my arm. I twisted around and immediately recognized who it was: a guy, 20M, who had bullied me for over 10 years. So rather than get angry, I thought I would mess with him and see what happens. Him: "Hi, heard you were in local uni." Me: "I'm sorry, but I don't know who you are. Do I know you from somewhere?" Immediately he deflated. It was glorious to see. I had to stop myself from smiling. Him: "It's me, name, from school. Come on, you know me." Me, with a confused face, acting 100, "I'm really sorry, but I don't know you. Did we go swimming together perhaps?" Him: "No, I don't think so." Me: "I'm really sorry, but I just don't know who you are. I think you should go to the back of the line, sir." I went on my phone and just blocked him out. He looked lost and eventually went to the back of the line. I got my prescription, ignored him and went to my car and drove off. I literally screamed for joy and also because I was about to break down. It was a wonderful feeling, to see him like that and to feel like he had nothing against me. To make him feel like he hadn't had a large effect on my life. This was about 10 years ago but still makes me smile. At 18, my best friend, Vic, and I used to go out dancing/drinking most weekends. Coming up to Saturday night, I messaged to ask about plans. She said she didn't want to go out. Fair enough. Or so I thought, until I bumped into a mutual friend. Mutual friend asked why I didn't want to go out with her and Vic on Saturday night. I was confused as I wasn't aware we'd fallen out, but it appears Vic had just had a better offer and decided to ditch me. I get home in a proper strop and my older brother's friend was there and asked what was wrong. I explained, and 10 minutes later he had gathered around 10 lads to take me out. They all knew the situation and were game for a wind up. Vic's face when I walked into the bar surrounded by lads fighting over who got to buy me drinks was classic. They continued to play by ignoring her in my favor and chasing off any male attention she got. She ended up leaving early and messaged the next day nice as pie. I should clarify that these boys are like brothers and were purely out to cheer me up. Don't try to tell me boys can't out petty girls. This was pre-pandemic, but I'm kind of a germaphobe anyway. I work in a warehouse and the leadership team uses radios to communicate. Not only did everyone make fun of me for always sanitizing everything in my cubicle at the end of the night, but one manager in particular would always steal my pens and radio. He came in about 2 or 3 hours before me and was always too lazy to walk to his office to get his own. I used the label printer to put my name on it, started using really girly colored pens, and even locked my stuff up at the end of the night to no avail. Every day I would come in. My desk drawer would be broken into, filing cabinet type, so if you really torqued it enough you could break it open, and he thought it was some big joke. Made worse by the fact that I would Lysol everything once I hunted him down and got it back because for never washed his hands either. Well, one day I came down with some sort of cold/flu and suffered through the workday. But this time purposely didn't sanitize anything at the end of the day. Guess who came in feeling like dog poop a couple days later? Wash your hands. And keep them off my crap. Background: I am Hispanic, born in the US, but my appearance made me look like I am Asian because I have squinted eyes from my dad's side and I speak 2 languages, Spanish and English. So it was the end of my 4th period, and after that period I go to lunch. So as I am going towards the lunch line, I meet up with some of my friends and go to the lunch line together, and while in line we began talking about video games and such, and as we talked, a group of girls that were behind us waiting in line thought that no one can understand their secret language, which was just Spanish, but I think nothing much of it until they start talking bad about other people in the lunchroom, like for example, "Look at that kid, he looks like a dog," and such, which gets my attention for a bit and ignore them. As soon as I started to mind my own business with my friends, they started to talking about me and saying that I looked so ugly and other swear words in Spanish, which really pissed me off. As soon as they were about to say more about my appearance, I say in Spanish, loud enough so that they can hear, "Imagine calling people ugly even though they look worse." My friends knew what was going on at that point because they understood Spanish also, So they started laughing and saying things like "that's so true" at the girls. Those girls turned pale after they realized that we understood their language as well and left the lunchroom. It was the best feeling ever because they got what they deserved and they learned their lesson after that. So this was in 7th grade and I had a guy who made fun of me a lot. His name was Kevin. It started off with him like calling me gay and chasing me down the hall, so basically just teasing me. I was not okay with this, so what I did was to buy a type of Finnish candy called terveellisiona. This was pretty strong licorice. I liked it, but pretty much anyone who is not Finnish do not like it. Anyway, I just stopped him once and said, let's forget about this and eat some candy. It was very random, I know, but he agreed. Greedy as he is, he takes 10 of them and jams them into his mouth. Next thing I know, he is puking in the school bathroom. He never bothered me afterwards. A little backstory: I'm from Canada. In Canada we have the 400 series highways, where the standard speed limit on them is 100 kilometers per hour. My boyfriend lives about 1 hour and 45 minutes from my place, so I like to drive down on the weekend to see him. I usually drive in the fast lane when on the 400 series, doing anywhere from 130 to 135, and if anyone behind me wants to go faster than that, I simply move over and let them pass. I'm about 45 minutes into my drive when I see the pickup truck behind me suddenly merge into the middle lane. This little white car speeds up to be right behind me. Now, it's obvious this person is a speed demon, so I gladly move into the middle lane to let them pass. But they don't. They stay the exact same speed in the fast lane, leaving me to eventually move back into the fast lane or else I'll hit traffic. I'm doing about 130, I speed up to 135 to see if I get any distance between me and this car. Nope. They stay on my donkey, and again I move over. But to no avail, they just stay the same speed. I move back into the left lane, realizing this person is just doing this to either get me to slow down and go behind them, or just to annoy me. So I hatch a plan. See, I have this app on my phone that lets me know where police have been spotted by other drivers. And I see that 3 separate people have spotted a cop 2 kilometers ahead. So I slow down, and down, and down, and down. I'm eventually doing 118 in the fast lane. The person behind me is so far up my bumper I can't see their plate. Mind you, they could have gone around me at any time, but they refused to do so. So about 500 feet from the sightings I finally move into the middle lane, and I have barely crossed the line when they fly past me, doing at least 130. Not even 10 seconds pass before they get nailed by a cop for speeding. That gave me something to laugh about for the rest of my trip. I was in the shop the other day, and here, for whatever reason, folks can't understand the concept of one-way aisles and following arrows. Personally, I think it makes the shopping much more efficient overall, not having to squeeze by folks, but that's another thing. Heading up the baking aisle in my fruitless attempt to find yeast, I'm standing there looking at the once again empty shelf when I notice Karen. Like the stereotypical Karen, she could be placed in the dictionary as the go-to example of Karen, coming down the aisle from the wrong direction. Well, I was in a bad mood, had a rough day at work, so I causally took one step towards the middle of the aisle, conveniently right next to one of the one-way only arrows on the floor, and proceed to take my sweet time looking at the adjacent flowers. Well, of course Karen gets to me and I hear a big huff. Apparently using big girl words was too much. I ignore and continue my examination of the flowers. Another louder huff, the sound only a true Karen could make. So I turn to face her and stare at her for 5 seconds of silence, look down at the one-way sticker I was standing next to for another good 5 seconds, followed up with 5 more seconds of Karen stare, and went back to the flowers. This was met with some choice words that, being a gentleman, I shan't repeat, but defeated Karen turned her card around and sulked away. Sadly, that filled up my "I can be a PP to strangers" quota for the month, if not year, but it was worth it. This happened years ago as a high school freshman, but I've always been kind of proud of how I handled this situation. Background: I was friends with Guy in a large middle school friend group of neighborhood kids that would play manhunt and hang out often. This disbanded as everyone got older and moved, could drive, act. I always had a crush on him, but he was a bit older and never seemed to see me that way. But we were good friends. Fast forward to high school and I hadn't seen Guy in a year or two and was surprised he was in one of my classes as a freshman. He had failed that class twice, and was having a tough time. We sat together and talked and ended up hanging out outside of school. I still liked him, but he had a GF, so I kept my feelings in. He confessed to me that they were having issues and he needed to break up with her, but it'd be super hard on the both of them. I was surprised because I thought they were really solid. He always wore a bracelet with her name on it. We continued to hang out often and he kissed me, all while reassuring me he was going to leave her. It was just complicated, which led to making out hangouts. This happened 2 to 3 times before I noticed he was still wearing the bracelet with her name on it. I stopped mid-makeout and asked if they were on such bad terms why he was still wearing that bracelet. He got annoyed and gave me a short and not convincing answer. It all hit me in the 16-year-old brain at once. This guy was using me to cheat and had no intentions of breaking up with this girl. He tried to go back to kissing, but I moved to his neck and just suctioned right to it. He pushed me away and exclaimed about hickeys. He immediately left, muttering about covering it with makeup. They broke up shortly thereafter. I know his GF thought I was a terrible person for cheating with this guy, but he honestly had me convinced. I honestly feel like I did her a favor, physical evidence of cheating right before her eyes. What did you think? What would you have done differently? Share your opinions in the comments. And if you enjoyed the stories, slap that like and subscribe button for more of them, and don't forget to support the original writers with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.